So, guess what we're doing today? I bet you can guess pretty easily. Okay, we're going to see how we can do Akimbo guns with the AK system we have created. They will fire like your normal gun. Okay, one click will fire 2 shots per weapon, of course, and they will hold pretty much everything. And since the AK system we have created, we can do something pretty cool. But first let me change my pivot point. Okay, so I aim at the first target, hold down Alt, I aim. You can see that even if I change my aim, my left hand stayed on that target. So if I shoot the other guy, if I aim the other guy below and shoot, you see that we can fire 2 targets at once. Okay, just by holding Alt and fire. And if I go at an extreme angle, I basically just lose the aim, but if I return back to that point, it will start aiming, but of course we can do it so that you lost the target completely. You can do it like that. Okay, you can see one arm is aiming up, the other is down. Another thing we can do is, you see I purposely left my left hand to have fewer bullets, and in that one the left hand has run out of bullets, but I can still keep firing my right one. Okay, and when they're going to reload, they'll be reloading just fine. So, I think it's pretty cool. Let's actually see it. And it was actually very easy to do it, but we have to do a little bit of refactoring on the handle shooting. We're going to write a new script. We're going to call it Akimbo, which is faster than saying dual wielding, but just to make things even more difficulty, we're going to use namespace dual wield, just because it's best to use namespace. Okay, so we have our Akimbo class. So, of course we want a boolean to know if we are enabling the Akimbo or not. Okay, animator left shoulder, our states AK handler, handle shooting, and here we have basically whatever we were doing on the AK handler, our regular AK handler, we're going to repeat it for the left hand. Okay, so left hand weapon holder, the Akimbo weapon, we're going to use only one weapon, and this Akimbo weapon is for the left hand only. Okay, so think it as a separate class for the left hand, and we have a separate class for the right hand also. And we will see in a bit what we need to do and the changes we need to add on the weapon manager and the handle shooting. Okay, target weight, left hand weight, aim helper for the left hand. If we want to disable AK, of course I do not use it, but let's keep it. Left hand AK target, left hand AK rotation, way to shoot, which you will see what it is, and an audio source for the second hand, for the second weapon, because if you're using the same audio source, then your audio clip is going to be cut at half point, since, you know, if you make your audio source to play another sound while it's still playing, yeah, it doesn't sound very well. The target position, and if we want to hold the target, which means if I want to, you know, aim with the left hand else and with the right one elsewhere. Our start function, which I call from the AK handler. Okay, we pass the state manager, we set the state manager, and from there we do not have to use get component once again. We know our state manager has everything we want to use, so we can just take them directly. Okay, animation, the animator, the AK handler, handle shooting, the left shoulder, which will take from the human body bones left shoulder from the animator. Okay, we use humanoid just for that. Our aim helper left hand will be the same one as the one we have on the AK handler. Okay, we overwrite everything we have on the AK handler. Left hand AK target will be the right hand target we have set, but on the Akimbo weapon. So we do not have to go on our weapon reference base and change a lot of stuff and even add more stuff. Okay, we can use the same ones, right hand target, and the same for the rotation. We need to create a new game object that is going to have an audio source, but since on our audio sources we might have changed these settings and we might have changed other stuff like have effects and all that, we're just going to take and clone the audio source we have for our gun sounds into our audio manager. We're going to clone that game object. We're going to assign that as our Akimbo audio source. Now we need to fix on our newly instantiated game object, we need to fix the parent, so we want it to be under our own transform, and of course we need to reset its position so that it be exactly underneath our character, so all our sources coming from the same source, from the same position basically. And then we need to assign the clip it's going to play, and in our case it's going to play the Akimbo weapon stat should sound. Okay, and we have a function that disables the Akimbo. Of course, if you want to start with a weapon that has two weapons, you do not need this. Okay, disable Akimbo. What it does, makes the boolean false. If it finds a weapon model, it's going to close it, and if it finds an AK holder, it's going to close it. Of course, you need to have assigned weapon models and an AK holder, so keep that in mind. And we also have a new boolean on our animator that's called Akimbo. Okay, and we turn that to false. Same for enable Akimbo. We do the exact same, but we turn them on, we turn them to true. Okay, and let's see our update. Hold target is if we are holding the left alt or any weapon or any key you want to add. If we have enable Akimbo and we're not holding the target, then our target position will be what we have on a stage look hit position. A new reference we added on our weapon manager, on weapon reference base basically, not just on our weapon manager, is the aim position, and we only use the aim position for the Akimbo weapon. Okay, so we have the target position, we assign it over here. Whenever we update the target position, we update it on the reference for our weapon. And then we handle the shoulder position, we handle the shoulder rotation, the aim weight, and the model animator, which we will see what this is. Okay, if we are shooting and we're not reloading and we are actually aiming, and here's basically the stuff that has to do with refactoring the handle shooting, so we will see this in a bit. I'm going to leave a bookmark over here, and I'm actually going to open my bookmarks. Okay, so forget all this for now. Let's go to the rest of it. Handle shoulders. If we do not have a left shoulder, go and find it. Simple. Else, place the left hand weapon holder all on the left shoulder, where the left shoulder is. Okay, the aim weight, if we are aiming and we're not reloading and we're not vaulting and we are on the ground, we find the direction towards the target, which is our target will be the aim helper left hand position minus our transfer position. Angle from forward will be we basically want, when we are holding the target, we want to have like 45 degrees to be able to aim from forward of our character, okay, to the left side. Otherwise the character will be able to shoot people that are behind him. Okay, we do not want that. Okay, so we need to find the angle from forward and the angle from left. The angle from forward, of course, will be transfer.forward and the direction towards target, and the angle from left will be minus transform.right. Okay, the opposite of right is left, of course. We have target angle, and if we are holding the target, then the target angle from forward will be 50 degrees. Okay, so 50 degrees from forward, and from left it will be 100 degrees from left. Okay, if we are not holding the target, then it will be our usual what we have on our own AK handler, which will be 90 degrees. Okay, if we are not holding the target, then target weight will be 1. If we are holding the target, as I said, the angle from left will be 100. If you want more, you can add more. If you want less, you can add less. Target weight will be 1. Okay, target weight 0. And over here we can say, what we can actually do over here is, we can probably add hold target equals false. So, did I save? I saved. So when I hit play right now, and change to the Akimbo weapons, okay, let's say change this, I'm pressing Alt, I'm looking towards, and I'm losing the target, and yeah, that didn't work. So what we're going to do is not turn this to false, we're going to come over here and say this. Okay. So basically it's going to ruin this, since you are losing. And yeah, that wouldn't work either, because you want to keep or let's see what the results going to have. Basically it's going to set the it's going to reset the left hand, and it's going to look forward. Yeah, and it didn't work too. Oh well, anyway, let's just continue on. Okay, and we will see what we can do later. So, oh yeah, unless this was, anyway, let's continue on and we will see. Okay, target weight, if the angle is lower than 100, target weight will be 1, else target weight 0, else of this target weight 0. If we are not aiming, target weight is going to be 0. Multiplier, disable AK. Okay, all this affect how fast we can aim, use the AK or not. It's the same variables as we have on the AK handler. Okay, and we just do a lerp for our weight. Handle shoulder rotation. We have our aim helper left hand position, and we lerp it towards the target position. Instead of getting the stage.look hit position, we're getting the target position over here, since this might change. Okay, we make our weapon holder to look towards the aim helper left hand position. Same, all these are the same as the AK handler. It's basically a copy paste. I only change the aim helper to the aim helper left hand. On animator AK, if we have enabled Akimbo, and we have to use this over here, because on animator AK it's like the update, it's going to run after I think after before late update. I think, I'm not sure about that. Okay, so we need to keep it over here, and on animator AK is a special case, so we cannot add it inside the tick. Okay, this has to come over here, has to use this. So we need the enable AK once again. So if we actually have a left hand AK target. If we don't have assigned a left hand AK rotation, then just take the rotation from the left hand AK target. Okay, just a few fail checks, and then we go and set the position weight to the left hand weight we want to have, and we set the AK position to the left hand. Okay, left hand weight, and the rotation will be the left hand AK rotation. So basically this is how we can set up so that we can have AK and aiming AK on a left hand. Okay, and this will work with the way we have set this before. Of course you need to add it on the initialization and the tick inside an update. Okay, but we need to set up refactor a little bit of hardened shooting so that we are able to start shooting with both hands basically. And before we see that, let's see the initialization of, let's see where this goes and where this goes, where the tick goes, and the initialization phase goes to, instead of adding this inside the state manager, okay, I'm adding inside AK handler, since you need the AK handler, otherwise you cannot aim with the weapons anyway. So what we do is, I see if I can find the component Akimbo. Okay, if I can find it, I assign it into my variable over here. If I can find it, then I call the init function and I pass the states I have, since I'm using it over here. Okay, there's no need to use get component all the time. Same for the tick. And what I did change in this script is I check if we do not have any Akimbo component assigned, and then do as you were doing before, handle left hand AK wait. Else, if we do not have enabled the AK, enable the Akimbo, not AK, then we do not have a weapon that has we do not have an Akimbo weapon. So we go and say handle left hand AK wait the same way as you were doing before. Basically, if we have enabled the Akimbo, we do not want to use this function. So we get these two if statements that controls that. And over here we say if we have Akimbo, then update it to, okay, update our Akimbo. Here we have a function which we're using from the handle shooting or other states, because we might not have assigned the Akimbo component on the character. Okay, we just pass the status and it checks if it has actually the Akimbo component. Okay, if we want to enable it, we enable it this way, and if we want to disable it, we disable it this way. Otherwise, we just return. Or yeah, this is pretty much, it's not needed. Okay, oops. Let's go to our weapon manager. Okay, so we are on our weapon reference base. Here's all the stuff we're going to add. Okay, if the weapon is Akimbo, and this has to do with the right hand weapon, okay, not the left hand. The left hand, we take it as a special case. Okay, the new variables we're going to need inside our weapon reference base will be Akimbo, don't shoot, if it's empty the gun, if it's ready to reload, because we add a little delay when we want to reload, and the aim position. Now, with that said, we need to come into our switch weapon with target weapon, and everywhere we had our handle shooting, we're going to delete all of it. Okay, so we do not want, basically remove everything that has to do with the handle shooting, and I have encapsulated inside our encapsulated inside our weapon reference base. Not this. Okay, and you will see why we do all that. Now, the last thing we need to add inside our switch, where we switch our weapons, not our switch, we're going to check if the states AK handler, we're going to say Akimbo status, new weapon, Akimbo. Okay, so if the weapon we are placing, let's see, I think, yeah. If the weapon we are placing has the Akimbo ticked, okay, if it's true, then it's going to go and enable on this component, it's going to go and enable this one. Now, do not think that it's so big. Okay, it's the same the same stuff you have to assign on your weapon manager over here, you have to do them but for the left hand. And since we are here, as you can see, I do not tick the Akimbo. Make sure you have updated all the values. So, since we are here, let's go to our controller. And what we have over here is, if you see, okay, I have my right hand, the one we have seen a lot of times before, and I have also my left hand. I have my offset, my pistol, where the left hand target is. Lock target, yeah, we do not do it, so you can delete this. And we have our left hand rotation. Okay. Exactly the same as the right hand, but instead of placing it into the right hand, we place it on the left hand, or yeah, the left shoulder. And yeah, that has to do with the weapon manager, the change we have to do. Let's say our AK handler. I made it the aim helper for the left hand. I made it public, and since I do not want to show on the inspector, I also hide it. It's a good practice to use the hide inspector on public variables that you do not want somebody to go and assign them. Okay, and of course, since you might forget in the future. The other way will be to, to make get set functions and all that, whichever works best for you, I guess. So let's see the refactoring we have to do on our handle shooting. Let's go to the top. Okay, inside the stick we had everything, so I've encapsulated all this into their own functions. So what I mean by that is we're going to separate all our functions and all our functionalities into different functions. Yeah. Okay, shooting, the actual shooting, where we handle the weapon animations, where we handle our fire rate, when we are loading and playing the animations and that, when we are actually filling back the bullets into our weapons, and the raycast if we are shooting. Okay, let's start with the shooting. Handle model animator, yeah, let's start with this. If we're passing the weapon, it starts with shooting. Okay, we need to pass the current weapon we want to shoot. We have our weapon. Okay, if the weapon has a model animator, then it's going to set the bullet to shoot to false at first. It's going to check the current bullets. Okay, it's going to check if it's empty or not. Okay, and it's going to update the animator. It's not going to shoot, basically. So we handle the animator. If we are shooting, let's see if we can actually shoot though. States.shoots means the player or the AI or whatever we have clicked, so he wants to shoot. Let's see if he can actually shoot. First, we're going to see if our weapon animator, which is the animator that is not the model animator, it's the AK animator. If it has, if it's null, then go and assign it from the AK holder. And yeah, we had all these variables over here, and that's why we went and add them inside our weapon reference base. So we have this. If over here we had the fire rate, now we have a boolean that checks if enough time have passed so we can shoot again. So if we can shoot, so if don't shoot is false. Okay, we check if we have a model animator and go and update its variables. Weapon animator set bool shoot false. The AK. Okay. We check how many bullets we have. If the weapon is empty, basically all the variables we had over here, if you delete them, you will just have to come and add the weapon dot from the start, or add the weapon stats. So let's see it. And here's where we check if we want to play the sound. If we have a weapon, if our current weapon we are firing is the same that one that our weapon manager says is the current weapon, then we play the gun sound the same way as before. If it's not the weapon we are firing, the main weapon, then we just go and use get component. Of course, you should probably store this somewhere, but I didn't want to add a lot of reference to the handle shooting. If you want your game to have Akimbo weapons, yeah, store the reference somewhere so that you do not have to use get component all the time. Get component, okay, audio source, play that audio source. If you have a model animator, then turn the boolean shoot to true and turn the AK animator to true. Okay, the same stuff. We are instantiating the casing on the casing spawner for that weapon. The rotation is game object. Okay, we find the rated body, we add all the forces we add on our casing, we fire the muzzles, and we say weapon don't shoot. And since we are here, we start a coroutine that handles the fire rate. We pass the weapon and handles the fire rate, and what it does is waits for seconds. The seconds it's going to wait, we handle that by the fire rate we have set on our weapon stats. Okay, once this pass, it's going to reset the don't shoot to false. Handle weapon animation does pretty much waits for one turn and then goes, if we have a weapon animator, and gets the boolean shoot to false. It closes basically the boolean, otherwise it's going to remain always open, and we do not want that. Recast shoot, the same thing. We pass the weapon, and if our weapon is the same one, is the main weapon, and we check if it's the main weapon by comparing it with the weapon manager return current weapon, the aim position we have on that weapon will always be the look hit position since it's the main gun. Vector 3 direction, we find the direction. The only thing changed from over here is instead of getting the direction from the look hit position, we take it directly from the weapon aim position. Okay, everything else is the same. And of course you need to change the bullet spawner, you need to add it to be on the weapon. Okay, on both of these cases. So we say we're actually shooting. This handles the shaking for the camera. So in our state manager we kept this around, but only because we have on our input handler, okay, we have this over here. And I've also added, if you are checking the camera, then reset the actual shooting after you have, shake the camera, wiggle the crosshair and all that. And finally we subtract from our current bullets. Okay, we subtract 1. If you want to fire, burst fire and all that, you just repeat all this. And if we cannot shoot, if we do not have enough where is it? If we do not have enough bullets and our weapon is not yet empty, okay, place the effect empty gun, and it says empty gun. So the next time it's going to come over here, it's going to check if it's the main weapon, and only if it's the main weapon it's going to reload your weapon. It's going to reload both weapons basically, and if the main weapon says it's a Akimbo weapon, then it's going to reload also the Akimbo weapon. Okay, very simple stuff. Otherwise for that, okay, weapon animation should false. reload weapon. Okay, pretty much the same. We just add the weapon or start. If our carrying ammo is higher than 0 and we are not down, then if we are not ready for reload, if this has not run once, okay, if we do not add this, then it's going to be running the coroutine and opening new coroutines, and basically we were never going to be out of bullets. And we check if it's the main weapon. If it's the main weapon, then we want to say to the handle animation to play the actual animation that we are reloading, and we play the coroutine fill bullets with this weapon, and we say weapon for reload equals true, and we play effect the otherwise if there is no bullets, it's going to play the effect empty gun. Fill bullets waits for 0.2 seconds, and that's why, because you probably have noticed that you might be able to fire before the actual animation starts playing. We will be able to fire once. Okay, so we just had a little bit of delay, so we can then go and reset all our values. Okay, the only thing you have to add is the weapon dot and add the correct variables, the correct names, because we have a little bit of different names. Okay, very simple. Reka shoot, we saw that. So basically this is all the refactoring we have to do on our handle shooting. And why we did all this is, now we can go back to the Akimbo on our tick, and when we want to shoot, when we want to shoot, yeah, basically we do not want to have to shoot at the exact same time, so we add a little bit of delay. Okay, so we have a boolean way to shoot, and we make sure that our target weight is higher than 0. So we have not, if we are holding the target, we haven't lost the target, we can shoot. If we have lost the target, then we cannot shoot. Okay, Akimbo shooting, it waits for 0.2 seconds and invokes the Akimbo this function. So what this does and what it can do, it's going to go into the handle shooting, actual shooting, and you are passing the Akimbo weapon. So from every script now we can use handle shooting dot actual shooting, pass a weapon, and that it's going to make that weapon to fire. Let's see where we are other use for this. I think we had over here on our tick. If we have enabled Akimbo, we also need to handle the model animator. Okay, otherwise your weapon will not close. Okay, if you miss this, you're probably going to spot it. So that's basically it. We've done everything we can do for this, and what you can also do, which is going to be fun if you do it, but we do not have anything. We do not have enemies over here. Okay, if you have, oops, yeah, we should probably delete this. No, not delete. Yeah, before I forget, we have our weapon manager. Okay, you need to create a new weapon. I have my 911 over here, but I've created a new instance of this 911, which I call Akimbo. I kept all the same variables, but I only just ticked Akimbo. So to showcase this, close this. Let's take our Beretta, duplicate the array element. I'm going to call this Beretta Akimbo. And click the Akimbo. Okay, I didn't change anything else. And let's see, we actually need to have that weapon on us. So this will probably be, I think it's going to be mod weapon 8. Let's see. the 8. Let's hit apply. Let's close this, and you will see that okay, I have the Beretta on the one hand and I have the 911 on the other. And of course, since they play a different sound, it sounds a little bit different. Okay. And both weapons have their own logic and their own behavior. Not only that, they have their own fire rate. So I can fire the Beretta faster, and the Colt with a lower fire, with a higher fire rate. Oh yeah, I guess it's lower. I don't know. Okay. And both weapons have their own ammo carry. So at one point we're probably going to run out of bullets, I guess. Okay, I'm out of bullets for the right hand now, but I still have some for my left hand. Okay, so yeah, I think we covered everything, and everything turned out it's pretty good and it looks pretty fancy. So you know what to do. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to see cool stuff like this, then your support on Patreon is pretty much appreciated, or your support by buying a project or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 from Gumroad. And of course, I'll see you next time.